Right, hello. I'm making another video today, and once again, this video is going to be primarily focusing on Ableton Live's operator in an attempt to make a rough approximation of a bass guitar. So I'm probably, you know what I'm like, I'm a bit of a rambler, so you'll just have to bear with me. I might go off topic a bit. Right, so here's the section of a track I am working on. Now, like I say, it's not perfect and it doesn't sound that great in isolation. It's just more when it sits in a track. I don't think it sounds too bad, you know. Kind of a, I don't know, a bit slap bassy at times. And I've just got two iterations, you see, because I've just slightly tweaked the device in the second one, and it just adds a bit of variety. Right, but I just want to mention at this point what I'm doing down here with these guitars. Quite nice, those guitars, aren't they? But I didn't play them, you see. I just used, what did I use? I used the Native Instruments Electric Sunburst. The reason I'm not plugging this particularly, I'm just saying that it's not bad. I bought it, of course, without really knowing what I was going to get. And I haven't used it a great deal, but I started messing about with it for this track, and despite what some people say about its limitations, it's amazing what you can squeeze out of it. You've only got a limited range of kind of presets, and each of them has their own sort of strum patterns and what have you. I mean, you can't, well, you can play individual notes. But there's a lot of preset sort of strum patterns which are quite useful. I mean, there's only so many ways you can strum a guitar, and a lot, you know, there's a lot of typical kind of articulations, and you know, plus you can vary the sound of the guitar a bit with all these little devices, and each time, you know, when you've got one of these presets in, you use these keys down here, these pink keys down at sort of C1, and you click them and you get different articulations. So that's quite a bit of effort, but once you get going with it and you're in the groove, you find you can be quite imaginative with this. So I think that's useful. Right, so anyway, I just mentioned that in passing. Now back to this bass guitar thing, right? So this is all about operator. And what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to duplicate this track, switch this one off, so that I can mess about with this one without ruining what I've already got. However, as always, these things are very organic, and there's no definite sound. It's just I don't want to mess up what I've got fixed in the track. So it's all done with operator. Sounds a bit rubbish further up the keyboard. and that's where it falls down as a bass guitar. But down at the sort of C1, C2 level, it's okay. So, right, now I'm not going to do a complete walkthrough of every setting, but it's more the idea. So the first thing to note is this routing here, and in this instance we're using all 4 operators, but we've got B feeding into A, so that's one sound, and we've got D feeding into C, which is the second sound. Now you don't actually, I've doubled up here, but you don't have to. In fact, this is only got some input here at this low level. But you can already see the amount of different flavours you can get. The reason I have got this doubled up is because this coarse setting is 1, whereas this is half. And I did this to try and provide some higher overtones, just very subtly. You just get a different sound, but basically these two duplicate what I've got here. So let's take a look at operator A first of all, and being a stringed instrument, it's just got a long decay, 2 or 3 seconds. Very little release. And what's interesting is the oscillator, and this is the key. This is what makes the difference, because you need a weird pattern. You basically need a weird pattern whereby you've got a few down this end sort of forming this slope, and then you've got some totally arbitrary and somewhat random little things here, and you get an enormous change of sound just by messing about with these. So let's right. See what I mean? You've got endless possibilities there. So that's it for operator A. Just a simple envelope like that and a custom waveform. Then B, there's the envelope is not doing anything, although you could change this a bit. I have experimented with that. That does make some interesting difference. And you can also do a similar thing with the oscillator. I haven't in this case, but you can. So so anyway, I'll tell you what, let's just clean that up, have it like it was. And then, you know, as I say, it depends on how much input you want from this one. That doesn't sound right without any. You obviously you need some input here. Right, and then if you're going to make use of the second pair of operators, of course all you need to do is select say C, and then you go over to the envelope section, you do a right click and you say copy from oscillator A. Right, similarly with B and D, select that, go into here and copy from oscillator B. No, Yes, operator B. And then you just change the bits of these operators that you want, right? You probably knew that. So in this case, I think the oscillators, yeah, this is quite different from the one down here. So it doesn't really matter. It's just the organic nature of it all. Right, and then the only other thing you need to worry about is the filter. So I've got a 12 dB slope here. 24 works as well, but I like the extra overtones that this gives you. 100, about 170 hertz low pass, and this res makes a bit of difference as well. What would happen if I use one of these more aggressive filters? It's probably a bit over the top. Okay. Right, that's it. That's it. That is your bass guitar. Okay. Now, the other bits are just sort of niceties. And I must say that this does not have any sub bass, right? So up here, you'll see from the spectrum, I've pretty much cut out the sub, because I just prefer to handle sub bass separately. So, you know, just bear that in mind. And of course, what I do is I just roll it off here, and I'm using this 48 slope at 110 hertz. Okay, now, by my observation is that if you do this low cut, then if you duplicate it, you get pretty much double the effect. So I don't actually know whether two of these 48 each is resulting in a 98 slope. I mean, it'd be great if it is. I know that it's having some effect. I mean, if you look from the spectrum here, I'll turn this one off. See, there's that much signal down here. Let's try a third one. Let's try a fourth one. Well, I think you can see that it's cutting off more of the signal. Right. Probably a bit unnecessary, but I don't know, it's just something I've observed. Okay, so yeah, so normally, I mean, actually, without the sub bass, that's still quite a good sound. So, you know, you're going to hear that bass on tiny, even laptop speakers. You know, it's going to sound a bit bassy. Right, so I've got this compressor. Now, the only reason I did this is because if I just get rid of the threshold here, I've found that if I hit the high notes, even though I'm not going to be using the higher notes, as I go up the keyboard, these are getting really loud. So down here, it's okay. But if I go up to... So I just whack this compressor on to stop it doing that. But as I say, the higher notes don't sound that great anyway. And that's it. That is it. That is literally it. There's nothing more to say. So I'm now going to get rid of that. Right. Thank you for listening, everybody, and I'll see you again soon.